with Steve McJones. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for the most insane 38 minutes of your life? Because this is going to be amazing for you. Logan Malin, the man, the myth, the legend, came out, took 20 minutes to park, and found a spot just so he could come on and deliver this beautiful message, which I'm excited for you to hear. But Logan and I met at 2 Street, obviously, and he was somebody that was always, cool, and I think he's just always comfortable. He seems like a very comfortable person. Like, when he shows up, he did not hesitate jumping right into this conversation with me, and he, made me feel comfortable, when I was just starting. And, he knows the area, he knows what he's doing. He's been doing stand-up since he was 18, but, he also has an accounting job, so these factors together make him another person that I respect so much, because he's such a comedic personality, but he's also such a driven person who thinks and comes at ideas with many different angles and analyzes them, and yet still decides to be an absolute goon. So thanks again, Logan, for coming out here. It was really fun recording with him, and I think you guys are going to enjoy this episode so much. So sit back, relax, and let's get articulate.
Take your process as you go. I know you were just working all day, so
yeah, no, for sure.
It, bro.
So let me get this straight. You do bingo nights and then you do trivia nights as well.
So we're working on musical bingo. But musical bingo. So basically, what it is like your regular bingo, and then instead of letters and numbers, we do like songs, right?
Okay.
That's musical bingo, and then Wednesday nights I do what's called Quizzo, which is just a trivia night, and I do that every Wednesday night.
Where, like in a bar?
Yep, at a bar, Great American Pub in Wayne.
Okay.
Pennsylvania.
No stand-up involved at all.
Zero stand-up. I mean, I tell my bits. Nobody ever wants to hear them. I have a lot of weird history bits that I do as a part of the trivia.
Really? History bits?
Yeah, man. You just mess around, But it's a good time, man. We used to do it a year ago. Before the pandemic, we did it every Monday night, and we would go from 8 to midnight every Monday night. The old heads loved their trivia, man. So it was good, man. We would do trophies and shit. It was a fun time.
And you get paid for that?
Yeah, fuck yeah, you get paid for that. Yeah, I do. Because I just pretend like I'm an actual comic. And I'm you guys are taking my stage time away from me, realizing I don't actually get paid to go on stage during the week.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, man.
You must enjoy it, right?
Oh, dude, it's so fun. And it's good, it's good crowd work.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's probably a little bit of a platform for you to practice the,
Exactly, and then I plug any shows that are going on. So yeah, you just get paid to talk into a mic for an hour and a half, 2 hours.
And just host shit.
With a common denominator.
Why do you, you have a main job though, don't you?
Yeah, man.
You're just trying to get some extra revenue.
Yeah, dude, I love money.
Money?
No, dude, I just do everything. My week is crazy. My week is,
How do you do that, dude? I can't imagine.
I don't know. I just stay high the entire time, so time seems relative.
That'll do it.
It's intense, but the whole idea is that you do one thing long enough and you get good enough at it to where you can stop the other side hustles. But for right now,
you gotta get multiple going.
Yeah, man, I'm trying to get on stage and get as much mic time as I can. So if I got to do that as a trivia host, or a bingo host, you still dealing with people, you still hosting and stuff like that. Just fucking time is time, and they're giving me money for it. I'll do it all day.
You get to listen to good
I'll do
music?
5 days a week. Yeah, I mean, I pick it.
Yeah.
So I literally set it up.
Oh, shit.
It's cool, man. They pay for mics and shit like that. So I just get to buy equipment and they'll just pay for it.
You talk to a bunch of old people too?
Yeah, all day. The entire time. It's a great time. The demographic for trivia night is definitely
old people.
Middle-aged people. But it's a good time, dude.
Well, I feel that also gives you a different sample size of your personality, trying shit out. Do they like your dark humor?
Yeah, I mean, I try not to be as dark as I am at 2 Street on trivia nights.
Yeah.
But They like it. Really, what it turns into is just a bunch of old drunk people yelling at me for like an hour and a half while we do like some trivia questions mixed in.
Well, and that's what my follow up was. You probably learn a shit ton doing that, right?
Yeah, dude, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Like eventually, like most of the time, I get too busy for it, so I just pay someone to make the trivia questions for me, and then I read it. Man, I'm like the talent. I'm like Drake, man. I just get a ghostwriter. I don't have time to be preparing stuff.
That's petty shit, bro.
Exactly.
You're up here now.
Exactly, dude. I'm operating at a whole different level, dog.
They get you coffee for that too when you're making the
exactly.
get a whole intern and shit. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, no, it's a good time.
What history bits though? I've never heard you do a history bit before because that's kind of one of a direction that I've been thinking about exploring is like talking about like actual funny shit within history to like. First of all, bring it to light and like talk about it because like King Henry VIII was just a crazy motherfucker. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. History's sweet. I mean, I try to do like whatever the trivia is based on, right? So like make like a JFK joke if you're making a JFK question, something that I get to do like comedy wise. That's involved with the actual like question itself. So it seems like it's part of the show, but in the actuality of it, I'm getting work in. Like I'm actually getting to try my bits.
Yeah, 2 birds, 1 stone dude.
Yeah. But no, man, it's I'm trying to think. I don't know any history stand up off the dome.
We got a pop quiz, dude.
Yeah.
No, that's funny though. But also what you mentioned. Talking about like doing the different side hustles just long enough till one of them takes off to where it becomes your main thing.
Yeah.
I listened to Pete Eckenroth was on Akash's podcast. I brought this up a couple times, but he basically was talking about like with stand up, if you just do it, if you keep doing it, every year, say you get a little bit better, and say every year you meet more people and you get like 8% more of the fan base, right?
Yeah.
At some point, that fan base is going to be enough to support you. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like, I mean, like, the whole name of the game at this level is just getting your name out there, right? Like, the whole idea of, like, old stand-up comedy, like, procedure was, like, you get up on stage 10 times a week, and then eventually that becomes a showcase, and then you do so many showcases, and then eventually that becomes this, and then an album, and then this and that and the other thing, Yeah. So, like, the name of the game at the amateur level is just being in front of people. So if I gotta be in front of people and ask them fucking quizzo questions, I don't care.
Yeah.
Because, like, now those people know me, they know me from something else, find out I do stand-up, and they're like, let me come see him, and we had a show in Wayne, and I sold like 9 tables. So,
nice.
Shout out going first after selling a bunch of tickets. But yeah, man, like you got to do it. Like these are ways you create like little fan bases.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and so, I mean, there's a couple points. Like today especially, I think it's really easy for people to like discover you and like you be a niche for some, like,
you don't have to do mics every single day. Like you should, right? Just because like it'll help you get better, but like in reality, like
the internet,
bro, you go like, fucking viral, like
that's all it's.
Who gives a shit, dude? Who gives a shit about what any of your material is? Congratulations, you learn to monetize an algorithm, bro. There's people making 6 figures and all they do is shoot videos from their iPhone.
That's one way to do it for sure. Which I want to come back to. We're gonna come back to that in a second, but. The other thing I wanted to mention is like I took this class like a while back and we had to read this essay basically where it was talking about how basically once we achieved like as society, and obviously this isn't across the board, but like a certain percentage of the human population achieved surpassing like meeting your basic human needs like food, shelter, water, clothing, shit like that, right?
Yeah.
Then the next step becomes basically just how aesthetically pleasing we can make shit. And so, at some point, like, the aesthetics just becomes the focus, right?
Yeah, if you're not poor.
Right, if you're not poor.
If you're not poor, 100%.
Which is kind of shitty, but
if you're poor. I mean, like, I'm not poor, I enjoy a good aesthetic. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, exactly. But, so basically it's progressed to the point where it's just like, all right, how, like with food, right? Food... then it surpassed the thing where it's like, all right, now you have to go to like a culinary school.
Yeah, get the best food.
The best food, right?
Absolutely.
And so like within like our culture today, I heard somebody like as machines are taking over like, normal kind of bland jobs that fulfill basic needs, the new industry that's going to explode is aesthetic industries, so like entertainment or making fashion or
like you see that like content creation, right?
Exactly, content creation. And so again, Pete made that point, and it made me kind of think. It's like, well, so if you start right now today, if you have enough money to support yourself for like 2 years outside of like a full-time job, if you started 3 or 4 side hustles, you do stand-up, maybe you start releasing music, making music, you start screenwriting, and then, I don't know, just like other bullshit, you'd start doing like viral videos or something at some point. Again, like in 2-3 years, one of those you're going to get good at, or you're decent enough at all 4 of them where, again, you build enough of a small fan base.
It's just consistency at the end of the day, right? Like if you can put out 5 videos a week, if people know that they can watch you and they might like you a little bit, but they know that every day you're going to have something new for them to fucking digest and regurgitate, they'll love that, dude. Like,
that's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, man.
I didn't think about it.
I think side hustles are great if you're making money. Dude, I'm an accountant as well. Like, I don't just do stand-up and trivia nights. Like, I got a degree for accounting. So, like, yeah, I like to think of it in terms of monetizing, too. Like, that's great, right? Like, you're out here, you're hitting everything, you're making a bunch of videos and shit, but for what? Like, you don't have any money, you have nothing to show for it. I think it's good to do side hustles, but, bro, you got to take care of, like, your life at the same time. Plus, like, again, like, these jobs, like, people are like, oh, I don't want to do this. Like, dude, my 9 to 5 is a means to do this other part.
That's true.
Like, it funds for equipment, it funds for this, that, and the other thing. It allows me to, like, be able to travel to go do comedy and stuff like that, Like, people look at jobs and stuff as a hindrance a lot of times. Like, oh, I could be doing all these other things. Like, you just got to learn to do them together. Right? Exactly. Because, like, you always hear about, like, the dude, like, oh, I lived in my car for 4 years and, like, got to stand up, like, yeah, man, or you could have just worked for 4 years and, like, also did stand up. Like, it's not, it's not always, like, it doesn't always have to be an extreme. Yeah, I think. Like, I think you can do your side hustles, like, but, like, you were saying, consistency is key, man. Like, it gets tiring doing this shit.
Well, and that's what the other thing is. If you do have a full-time job, you're tired as shit.
Yeah, you just got to push through it, though. Like, how bad do you want it?
I'm jealous of those college kids that still, like, living with their parents.
Dude.
And
they have to take, like, 1 class a day, and then they're like, yeah, dude, that's your life. And that's awesome. And if you're, right now, like, if you're a young, like, comedian or
a perfect time for you.
Yeah, dude, or a young entertainer or some shit. If you're doing classes online, you don't even have to go anywhere for that shit. Dude, you should be writing every fucking day on stage every day because you're never going to get that disposable time back.
Oh, yeah.
You'll never, ever get it back.
Yeah, that's what, like, I was just talking to some other young comics the other day, and they were, like, talking about documentaries and stuff they've been watching recently, and they're like, oh, what have you been watching? I'm like, you think I have time to watch it?
Yeah, dude, what? Like, I don't watch TV, man. Like, I was 15 minutes late for this, fucked up my whole weekend. Like, so, it's, no, man, you gotta going management, bro, and consistency.
And energy management, too.
Yeah, like, you just have to be persistent. Like, it's gonna get hard, and, like, even on the nights you don't want to show up, like, just go. Even the nights like, the only time I really hate going out is when I don't have anything, like, prepared to give, and speaking in terms of comedy. Like, if I didn't write anything, or I don't feel funny, like, or I'm just sitting trying to do the same bullshit joke, I might skip it. And, like, you gotta take
there's no
those
progression with that.
No, exactly, right? Like, you're just kind of in this carousel of doing the same thing for the same people. Nobody's noticing you, not making it to the next level. You're like, perfect practice makes perfect, right?
So it's more than just putting the time in sometimes. There's got to be more to it.
I mean, dude, it's all about who you get in front of, right? That's why it's like, it pays to be in, like, a city like New York, right? because you don't know who's going to be in the room. Like, for the most part, we can go out to a show and, like, kind of guess who's going to be there, or exactly who in the room is able to kind of get you to that next step, that next show, or who you want to be in front of to kind of help you. But, like, in big places, in big cities, I mean, and Philly's one of them. Philadelphia comedy's dope. A lot of people are really cool. For the most part, and they spread the love.
Yeah.
But like
it's a different,
just kind of getting
but reeling it back into
off
like
topic. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. It's
stoned.
tangent. It's just the point, dude. That's a fucking podcast. Like, that's what we're supposed to do. But what I was gonna say is like reeling it back to like time management. A life hack that I think you just actually said you had was just get high and then things slow down. Just be high all the time.
So like,
that slows time down so much. You can fit so much in when you're high, right?
Dude, 100%.
Like standing there looking for your lighter, you can fit that in.
Oh, everything, dude. You can sit there and like say you don't have your phone for 20 minutes while it's in your hand. And you're looking for it with the flashlight, dude. Yeah, dude.
Exactly. You so much time.
Yeah, it's being high is not the right thing, but I have like severe ADHD, so I like to kind of like bring it down a little bit.
Yeah.
But again, like, so I was in school and I was taking like a big test, and I had a professor say to me, you know, when you're about to take these big tests or do these big things, you should never change your life routine, right? So like my whole life I've been smoking pot, doing this stuff, and then you just kind of like keep going. You just are adding things into it while still doing that, because like, to me, if I stopped, my body would have so much going on. Like I'd have to like, you know, and not just speaking of smoking pot, like just your regular routine. Like if you wake up, make your bed every day, right? Don't stop making your bed every day, because it's a consistent thing that you keep doing.
Right.
It's like a muscle memory.
Well, and that's something that I've thought about before, and it's almost like if you have done it long enough and it's consistent for you, it's almost like a piece of comfortability, right?
Yeah, it sets your mind at ease. Like, you know, it's like, I don't want to use the word addiction because that's pretty heavy, but like, it's just consistency. If your body's used to it, it's used to having a certain level of, you know, in pot's case, dopamine. Order,
having
routine.
Expectations, routine, things like that.
If you look at like an animal, like a dog, right? Like dogs are more comfortable when they have routines, right? If you look at yourself as less of a complex being and just look at yourself as an animal.
We're lizard brain people. So.
Yeah, bro, you need routine, yes. Where you suck on the soul of like firstborns and like that's how we keep alive.
No, but it's true. I agree, and I think, I mean, obviously, like, there's a lot of us and there's a lot of people that talk about, you know, putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation helps you grow, which is true. But if you're not in a mentally healthy, you know, mindset to do that, to explore and really get in an uncomfortable zone and grow, then like, I mean, that's why you have to have those things that make you feel that way. Dude,
you got to take care of yourself. If you're like feeling like shaky at all, and this goes for any facet of life, like you need to stop, chill, and like just compartmentalize everything and try to figure out what's making you go haywire, because like that affects everything. It affects your art. It affects your intelligence. It affects everything. It truly. Well, it just jacks you up to the point where it's like nothing you do feels right, so none of the outcomes are right? Like if you go up on stage and you go to tell jokes and you don't feel comfortable telling these jokes, the crowd listening to you is not going to be comfortable, so they're not going to.
And then say the next day you still have that on your mind when you bomb.
Exactly.
And like at your job you're thrown off there too.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, you got to learn to, like, you know, when bad things happen or things are throwing you off, take care of yourself, take a breather, and then get back on the horse. Everyone always focuses on, like, I don't have the motivation to do this. Like, you're never going to have the motivation to do anything. Motivation's like a myth, right? It's something, like, we make up to, like, give ourselves an excuse to get out of it. You got to stay consistent.
Yeah.
Like, consistency is key.
Easier said than done, I'll say.
Oh, my God, dude. Yeah, 100%. I shirk away from the line all the time, dude. Plus, I mean, it's harder when you're getting paid, right? Like, especially like in gigs like stand up and you know, doing whatever. Like if you do karaoke night or something like that, if you're getting paid to do it, that's a lot different. That's a lot more fun. I mean, like
it helps.
It helps being there. You know, like money talks. So
right.
If you get paid off these side hustles, man, trust me, consistency is not as hard as you think.
Well, and so that's kind of, you know, we went down a thing there for a minute, but kind of bringing it back to, this is funny, you're going to like this, bringing it back to, like, you know, the idea of doing that consistency, starting somewhere, building off of something, you know, fucking around how people today just, you know, get viral off of one video that they made on their iPhone or something, right?
Yeah.
So, Always Sunny. You know what I mean? Dude, those guys starting out, basically, they made their first pilot with, like, a home camera.
Yeah.
Back in, like, the age, it was, like, the perfect age, right? Like, probably, what, like 2005, maybe?
2005, yeah.
2005. And basically just fucked around and say, hey, we're funny enough, let's create our own pilot and see if we can get it picked up.
Yeah.
And, dude, that's the dream, right?
Dude, I mean, Always Sunny, I'm a huge fan, number one, right? To me, I think it's the longest running, like, live action comedy of all time.
Sitcom.
Yeah, sitcom of all time.
So jot that down.
Dude, the writing alone on that is great, how they can take social justice issues and kind of keep them, like, relevant today, and they've done it for 15 years. But yeah, you're right, like, just sticking with it. They started with kind of a low budget.
Well, they started
like
in their late 20s. Think about that, too.
Yeah, exactly. Like, time is relative, dude. You see, like, there's some people that blow up when they're 19, 20 because they're just good. They're hot. They're in the right place at the right time. And that's key. But there's other people, like, I mean, stand-ups really don't get popular until they're, like, in their 30s, you know? Like, so it's just a long game, man. It's just, if you ask anybody, any entertainer, it's just, you go through a bunch of bullshit, even in, like, music and stuff like that. Like, how many times have you gone to a show and there's been, like, one person in the crowd?
Yeah.
You know? Like, and it's the other guy performing. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, you just take those and, but in speaking of, like, TV show, yeah, dude, if you can write something that gets picked up.
Well, and so that's what I kind of wanted to, just explore Always Sunny as, like, the idea surrounding this whole thing. Like, because, like you said, it's like those guys were living out of their cars. They were serving people, you know? They were, like, waiters.
Yeah, they were hustling, doing wait staff and stuff like that.
Trying to act, basically.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they become out of nowhere writers, directors, and actors for their own show.
Yeah, but, like, you're also, how many of the people that have podcasts that you don't listen to, you know, like, do the same thing. Like, it's a chance game, right? It's a numbers game. Like, fortunately for them, they were able to write one of the funniest, like, pieces of art over the last 15 years, you know, like, Always Sunny takes, like, really hard topic and does it in a way where it's acceptable. Like, they should have been canceled, but because the joke is that they're narcissistic people. And they're terrible people. Yeah. It, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's comedy done on such a different level.
That's true.
That's why those people get picked up. And, like, think about all the shit they had to go through beforehand. And, like, a lot of people don't make it past that point. Yeah. So, like, I'm not trying to sit here and, like, be devil's advocate to be like, give up, you know? Like, it's not going to work out. Get a 9 to 5. You need it. No, I mean, I just think, like, gauge it, if you're not going to put everything into it, you know, you should look elsewhere to doing something, man. Like, but, like, I think it allows you, like I said, like, if you have a job on the back end, it allows you the money to do this. And, like, there can be a point where, like, say I do want to take a year off and still live comfortably and do all this.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I think the goal is, especially, like, in our 20s, you know, is making enough money to where you can, while you're still in your 20s, take off, you know, 4 to 6 months.
Dude.
Or a year, you know, depending on how much you can save up, right?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up poor, so, like, I never ever want to do that shit again. So, to me, like, I think it's awesome, right? People out there struggling. But, like, can't be me. Not gonna be me, my guy. Like, I don't want to be 30 years old, like, worrying about, like, a couple bucks. You know what I mean? So, it's like, you use this time now that you have, like, this free time, this
energy,
zero responsibility to anybody to, like, go try new things, go try anything, man. You want to move, you know, the easiest way to meet people and do things is to get a job. I know it, like, is
so sad.
so capitalistic view on everything, but, dude, like, seriously, like,
it's really gonna, like, I mean, like you said, like we were talking about, if you bomb at an open mic, it's gonna affect your mindset. If you're not making any money and you're still trying to go out and do open mics while you're worrying about what you're gonna eat for dinner,
that's what I'm saying, man. Like, that's rough. I mean, some people make it and that's great, but a lot of people don't, and that's what, like, nobody ever wants to talk about, right? Like, they're like, oh, dude, what about these guys? Like, yeah, those 4 people, yeah, they did fucking great. Good for them.
Yeah.
What about you? What about, you know, like, we're sitting in here talking about them. That's the thing. So it's like, I don't know. To me, consistency, originality, and, like, you got to be comfortable, man. Like, if your life isn't comfortable, anything you do isn't going to be comfortable, you know? And I guess, you know, pressure makes diamonds, right? So, like,
some
that's
people,
some people, like, it works for them, and that's great. It doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
I'm good. I like...
does that ever make you question whether you're cut out for it, then?
What, like, doing? Yeah, I mean, like, I've definitely had those. I mean, I've been doing stand-up since I was, like, 18. So, like,
oh, shit. I didn't know
yeah,
that.
so I've been doing stand-up for, like, 7 years, like, off and on. Went to school. I used to go take the train all the way in, do mics, miss the train, somehow get back. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think it does that. Like I said, I came from like, nothing. So, like, to me, my comfortability is more important than anything else.
Sure.
I know I can do comedy, but if I'm struggling to keep lights on or something like that, or not being able to take care of, like, myself and my needs, I'm not going to be good anyway.
Right.
You know, so it's like, I don't know if I'm necessarily cut out for it in general, but, like, I know that, like, I work my fucking ass off.
Yeah.
So that we can do this, so that I can do it, and
well,
I don't know.
And I think, like, so, I mean, the reason I ask is because, the reason I ask is because basically, like, you know, there's a lot of times, you know how you say, like, if you don't have anything new to bring to the table, you're not feeling like you're going to be funny that night, then it's not necessarily something you should do, like, at that point, because it's not going to progress you any further.
Yeah, it might help to, like, just sit and write, like, take that time to, like, a lot of people are focused on so much getting out and getting in front of other people, and that's great, but, like, if you're not funny, like, what are you getting out in front to do? Like, you're getting out in front to bomb? Like, I don't know. To me, I mean, that's cool you're there and stuff, but I'd rather go, show up and kill it, and then not show up for a couple weeks, have people wonder where I am, come back, kill it again. You know what I mean? Rather than go every week and put out mediocre stuff. And if it's not new, I mean, you just kind of stay somewhere with it. So it's like, I don't know, it's a catch-22. You got to work things out, but you got to learn when to, like, move on.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is, like, I just, like, so stand-up has been something, like, my entire life is like, oh, I'm going to try that, I'm going to give it a good go. And I still feel that, and I'm still doing it, right? But there's also a part of me that's like, you know, just because I built my entire mindset, like, growing up, as this is the thing for me, and now that I'm doing it, you know, the option of, like, branching out into other side hustles or other hobbies or things like that almost makes me feel guilty about, like, not putting 100% into the stand-up, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but, like, no, I get that, right? And it's hard. If you can't have 10 things going on and give, like, 20% to everything, you know what I mean? Or 10% to everything. Because then you're not going to really succeed in anything.
Right.
But I also think there's a qualitative and quantitative measure you got to take on things, right? Like, I can do this a bunch of times during the week, but if they're not quality,
True.
you're not getting anything from them. So, yeah, I can do, right, like, okay, Monday, Wednesdays, I'm not doing stand-up. I'm doing some form of being in front of people talking. It might not be stand-up, but, ready, let's take pros away from that. I'm getting paid. I speak for 2 straight hours.
Yeah.
You know, just do crowd work, just hang out, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I get to hone skills in a different way, and I get to network. Network to people who aren't comics, who aren't also trying to do the same thing, who will come and see me.
Right.
Right? Buy tickets and shit like
Yeah.
that.
So I like, for me, like, now I just started rock climbing, right? And so
Cool.
now I want to, like, it necessarily doesn't, it's like a completely different realm than stand-up comedy.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Yeah, I've never climbed, like, the side of 2 Street.
Exactly, but, like, in the pros, though, you want to talk about, like, instead, I don't do Wednesdays, or because I go rock climb, and it helps me clear my mind and, like, really, like, de-stress and, like, you know, figure out a project somewhere else. It's almost like I heard this one time. Basically, if you have, like, a couple projects going on or a few projects going on at one time, so say you have a shitty day at work, then at least maybe you have a chance of having a good set that night, right? Or say you have a terrible set and a shitty day at work. Well, at least you're going to get a good-ass workout in when you're rock climbing.
Exactly.
Like
dude, like I just said, like, you know, you need that thing that's going to help you keep your life together.
Mm-hmm.
And if being at a Wednesday mic, like, let's say you go to an open mic Wednesday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does that have the same value as, you know, going rock climbing for you?
Have you been to a Wednesday mic in Philly, dude?
No, yeah, man. I mean, you know, you have the chance to see like Chris Rock or something like that, or no, dude.
It's a big old. It's just a South House open mic.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, you know, you pick your battles and stuff like that. Like, if you're a comic that like maybe doesn't get out to too many open mics, but you're doing shows and you're killing it, like. Maybe the open mics, you don't need them.
Right.
Like, you know, like maybe, you know, and that goes for anything. Like, if you're like a singer and stuff like that, I mean, I don't fucking sing, so I don't know like what kind of work goes into that.
You could try. Come on.
Yeah, I could try. I don't think anyone would appreciate it, but no, man, like it just, you know, you have to pick quality over quantity every step of the way, because you can do a bunch of shit, but at the end of the day, that's all it is shit. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're doing good stuff, like, good original, like, let's say you're doing sketches, right? Like, you're a sketch comic and you put out 5 sketches. That's awesome, right? You have 5 things of material, but if all 5 of them are not good, who cares? You know, I'd rather put out 2 good ones instead of 5 bad ones.
Right.
You know, at the end of the day, like...
Qualitative.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, it's all about quality reps.
Yeah, and actually, I'm glad we got on this, because you're one of the first people, like, when I was out at open mics, that was, like, basically I asked you kind of how your routine is and, like, how you do comedy and works, and you're just like, well, dude, sometimes, like, you know, I just do it. Like, I have a set, I come out and try it once, it works, and that's enough for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like...
Try it a couple times. It's not like I just have to keep on doing it.
And, like, don't get me wrong. Like, if there's a joke I'm trying to work on, right? Like, I'm trying to do, like, this homeless bit. I must have done, like, a million fucking times, it feels like, at this point. But, like, there are other times that I know, like, I'll go try the joke. If it gets the reaction I think it's supposed to get, I'm just going to store that one. Because to me, like, that's good. That hit with the room, I thought it was going to hit in. You already know in your head, like, when you write something like, oh, this is funny, right? So it's like, my routine is if I'm feeling good and I'm feeling up to it, I'm definitely out at the mics and I'm just trying to get on stage. If I have a show, I like to get the reps in because then I just kind of get a feeling for being on stage. You get to see a lot of different crowds in different places. So that helps. But, like, yeah, man, I mean, there's people that, you know, they go to open mics and they're never trying anything new and they're not taking risks and they're not going anywhere.
And so think about what you just said. They're not trying anything new and they're not taking risks. That applies to everything outside of stand-up, too.
Yeah, like, I know, like, obviously, like, I'm, like, honing in on stand-up. Right, and that's how we know each other.
Exactly, but trying to, like, spread that.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, all right, let's apply it to, like, my accounting job, you know? Like, it's all about, like, getting in front of the right people and looking good to the right people, right? Like,
and showing them that you've come at a problem with multiple different solutions.
Exactly. Right? Like, if you're in, like, a firm, like, the way it works, right? Like, you know, you can sit there and you can grind every day. Every day you grind. But if you're not, like, being in front of the right people...
If you're not turning your brain on.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. If you're not being creative, trying to find ways to help excel everyone forward... That's cool, man. You can be a worker bee if that's your end goal, like if that's all you want to be. But like, I don't know, man. You got to take risks.
I mean,
you
apply it to like working out too. Like, I mean, that's
I don't work out.
Yeah, you should.
I don't strike you as someone that looks like
we know. It's all right. No, but seriously, like that's what, because when I was earlier this year, I was in kind of a slump, right? And I was doing, you know, what we were talking about, consistency. I was, like, working out every day. I was hitting the open mics. I was doing everything what I thought was right? But there was no creativity involved in it at all. Like, there was no, like, it was just me trying to churn, like, some sort of, like, motivation for me to keep doing it. And there was not any, like, thought process behind it.
Yeah, and then at that point, it just becomes, like, it's just it's just a job.
It's a responsibility. Like, it's a chore.
It's an obligation. You know, so exactly. It's like it's something like you have to go do. But like again, like if I don't have something at least like all right, let's say I'm doing 3 minutes in stand up, right? Like I might do 2 minutes of the same stuff I've normally been doing because I'm trying to get a rhythm for it.
Sure.
But like that last joke's new.
Right. Yeah.
You know, or something like that. Like I don't think like I think consistency is important, but yes, being consistent enough to take risks.
Right.
Like
exactly.
you have to know when it's time to like, all right, everybody's heard that. Like you've said it at 5 different places. You should kind of understand how the fuck it is. Like if you're trying to work out like a delivery for it, that's different. But again, just speaking in terms of stand up, but like
it applies for everything.
It applies for everything, man. You got to take risks in your life to get to the next level. Like to see what you're fucking made of, like, you know, why, like, and it's just like in jobs, right? If you're not willing to take a risk and go for something, you're never gonna make more money. You're never gonna do this or that.
Right,
you
know? Take a risk, you find out what works, and you keep doing it, right? But that gets you to one level, right? But then you gotta take another risk to get you.
Yeah, you gotta keep going, and eventually, like, and it's about how you like handle it. When it's all said and done, right? Like if it does well, then great. Then you've done exactly what you set out to do. If it goes bad, which it absolutely can, it's about how you handle it, how you rebound from it and stuff, you know? So it's like...
That's a good point. That's like the next step. Because you're supposed to take those risks no matter what, right? Like
no, exactly.
Or else you're just going to die of boredom or be a worker bee.
Whether it's your art or it's, you know, like your just everyday life.
Working out.
Fucking... You take the risk, man. Jump, like, who cares?
Yeah.
Who really cares, right? Like, because at the end of the day, like, you know, it's just like, take it like when you're in high school, right? Like, you know, as a kid, like, I was so nervous, like, oh, like, ask a girl out. Like, dude, just fucking do it. Who cares? Life is so short and so relative that, like, none of it matters. It's so, cycles are so quickly overturned, and, like, even in today's age, like, you're literally only glued to a viral video for 15 fucking seconds before it pushes you to the next one. So it's like, dude, just go for it.
Yeah.
You know? Like, try to get remembered out here.
And if it's a failure, then learn to cope. Learn to deal with that.
Learn to eat it and just keep going. Because guess what? In fucking 3 days, nobody's going to remember anyway or care.
Right.
You know, and someone else will have already fucked up.
Yeah. Well, and if there's like a big mistake, say that you make a mistake with a project at work, it goes poorly. As long as you have shown that you were trying, you know, people at your job are going to be like, dude, like he was trying.
People will fight for you.
Yeah, exactly. And they'll be like, all right, well, he made a mistake. Now he's just got to like, you know, earn my trust again, or like build up that respect again.
Exactly.
Basically.
But like, there's never anything wrong with like taking risks, man. Trying new things. It's like
as long as you're coming from a place of nobility.
It's even like you said, like when you were trying stand up, like that's a risk, man. Like, you know, like that's and a lot of people don't ever do that, and they just live in their bubble, and they just live with. Damn, like, I could have done this. I could have done that. Like, don't you want to fucking do it? Like, you get hit by a bus tomorrow, and that's it. Lights out, dog. Yeah. You know? So it's like, I don't know. I think you should definitely be consistent once you get your rhythm for things. And that's how you get good at whatever you're trying to do. But when you're inside of it, if you're trying to, like, go to the next level, excel your career, you know, whatever it is you're trying to do, you gotta be willing to take yourself out of your comfort zone. Like even if you write like jokes around kind of the same premise all the time, do something fucking new. Do something original, man.
Yeah, if you're like a one-liner, try a story.
Yeah, try a story. Exactly. Like it's gonna be hard. You might fall on your face a little bit, but like at least you tried it. At least you did something the other guy's not doing. Yeah. You know, you gotta set yourself apart somehow. So, absolutely. You know.
Well, I think that might cover it. Yeah, I think that was cool. That went pretty quickly, but I appreciate you driving out here.
Dude, I absolutely thank you for letting me on. I hope that like this episode totally encapsulates my ADHD and shows people how fucking all over the place my thought process is all the time.
But it all wraps together. It's how we were surrounding a theme.
Yeah, so
I think that's the point. I think it does.
Absolutely, dude. I have been a huge fan. Thank you for having me on. I also saw your logo. I was wondering before you signed us off, Who's the cover of your...
That used to be me, bro.
That used to be you. I was wondering whose hair that was, bro. We gotta update that logo, man. We got that's so funny. Oh, man. Well, Steve, thank you for having me, bro.
Boom, baby. Logan Malin. Oh my god. I love when people like Logan just come on here, just ready to go, revved up. We're on the same wavelength, recording, dude. And like, he goes, and then I just like plaster my life experiences in with what he's talking about. And it just works out perfectly. And we both learned so much. And, yeah, really, really good conversation. I was really glad to have him over, and check him out on Instagram, of course. You know, check out him doing karaoke and trivia, and yeah, follow him on Instagram. That's the best I can do for you, Logan. But thanks for coming out and recording and finding that parking spot. Thanks everybody else for listening. I hope you have a great week. Thank you. I love you. Amen. Okay, bye.
Yeah, man, it's love.
1 second, I'm gonna get you a little thing to put that thing on, just because if you put it on that thing, it's gonna...
Oh, it's gonna hear it, yeah. Ba 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 ba.